What's up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here coming back at y'all with another week zero preview, man. I am so pumped for this game. This is actually a game that I'm actually looking forward to, Brandon. I think this is going to be one of the most competitive games this weekend, and we'll get into why. But we got Hawaii, UCLA, guys, this weekend, 2:30 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. UCLA is an 18-point favorite right now, Brandon. And for one, I think this matchup is a huge game for Chip Kelly and UCLA. And also on the flip side, you can look at what could be the next step or the preview of what Todd Graham is building down there in Hawaii. Both teams return a lot of key pieces from their pretty good 2020 or their 2020 seasons. And I think it's really going to come down to defense here, Brandon, as much as the offenses are going to be the storyline. Whichever defense executes the best could be a big key. But for you, what are you looking forward to in this matchup between UCLA and Hawaii?
The thing I'm looking forward to most, Zach, is this UCLA offense. To me, this is the key to the game, and I honestly think this is UCLA's game to lose. I think that they should definitely be favorites in this game, but Hawaii has an actual shot at this, Zach. Like, they're not a bad team by any means. But UCLA's offense, to touch a little bit more on that, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, obviously their quarterback, has the potential to be one of the best quarterbacks in his conference in the Pac-12, if not the best if he has that actual breakout season this year, Zach. The wide receiving core here in Los Angeles this season is out of this world. It's the best they've had in seasons, in my opinion. Like over the past couple seasons with Chip Kelly at UCLA, where no one had super high expectations, they've kind of raised the bar a little bit, I'd say. Not only that, Zach, but this offensive line is returning all 5 starters this season from last year. And yeah, I understand. People are like, oh, well, last year they went 3-4. Let's break that down real quick, Zach. Yes, they went 3-4. Do you know what the biggest loss they had was?
I think it was like 6 points.
They had a 6-point loss against Colorado in week 1. After that, Zach, their other 3 losses, they lost to Oregon by a field goal. Then they lost to USC, which, by the way, Oregon defending Pac-12 champs by a field goal. Then they lost to USC by 5 points, crosstown rival, also in that championship game. And then they lost to Stanford by 1 point in double overtime the last week of the season. So, yes, they went 3-4. Things could have been a lot better. But as I mentioned on my Pac-12 preview earlier this week, Zach, I think Dorian Thompson-Robinson has taken the step forward that he needed to take last season. His completion percentage jumped a ton. He finally learned how to be a little bit more mobile and how to utilize that to his advantage. And he smashed, his previous rushing yards. Before this past season, he'd rushed for about 200 yards total. Last season, he had 304 yards and 6 yards per carry. So I think this offense is going to be super dangerous. It's going to be a really fun game to watch, though. Don't let me just talk about UCLA here, because Hawaii is a very respectable team. I know when you think about Hawaii, you think offense, and yes, their offense is going to be good. But watch out for that defense, dude. That defense is kind of like they're sneaky good. Like, not a lot of people are going to come out and talk about them, but I'm telling you, just watch out for them this season. This is going to be one of the better offenses or better defenses that I think UCLA will see, especially playing in the Pac-12.
I agree. Hey, listen, y'all, you can always count on me to talk about the defense, but no, I want to start with UCLA first. Brandon, this season is really Chip Kelly coming to a crossroads, in my opinion. Right. He's gonna have to put together some sort of season in which he competes for the Pac-12 at somewhat of a high level. You can't keep finishing 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th in your own division and expect to keep your job, in my opinion, because you haven't won anything. And this year, you got your best team to do it. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is back, and Brandon, his game has evolved. And while I love this game, is this a great test, Brandon, because this Hawaii defense returns 10 of its 11 starters from last year. And this defense was a top 55 defense last year, Brandon. It was in that, right there, almost in the top 50 range, which was, this is a crazy stat as well, the highest ranked Hawaii defense since they made their Sugar Bowl run with Colt Brin back in 2007.
Yeah.
So that's the type of success they have on the defensive side of the ball right now. And you mentioned the rush game last year for Robinson, Brandon. He also set career highs in completion percentage, yards per attempt, passer rating, and had his career low in interceptions. So those are all great signs for a quarterback now that's entering his kind of make or break year. I want to see if Thompson Robinson can be that college football star that I've seen flashes of. This is the first step, and I want to see how he progresses off of his offseason injury, Brandon. He was held out of some of fall camp, some of summer workouts due to an undisclosed injury. There were some question marks surrounding him playing this game. All indications think he will be out there, but I need to see him shake off that rust because with LSU coming to LA next week, he can't afford to have a lot of rust in that game because LSU is going to come out there and when you're going up against Eli Ricks and Derek Stingley, there is no margin for error when you're playing quarterback against that defense. And then the secondary, Brandon, for the Bruins, I mentioned on our Pac-12 preview, it's a major question mark. And it's also a huge question mark when you got this Hawaii offense that returns a lot of weapons. Chevin Corderio at quarterback for Hawaii and Jared Smart are two guys you're going to have to watch for Hawaii. Corderio threw for over 2,000 yards and 14 touchdowns last season, Brandon. In 2019, Smart had over 1,100 receiving yards as well. So you got a great wide receiver with a quarterback that's not afraid to throw the ball, man. He will let it fly. And so that's a bad thing for the UCLA defense. That is very inexperienced. They don't have a lot of pieces returning, and there's a lot of inconsistency outside of really, I believe, Cam Johnson at that CB1 spot that they have. And Brandon, the other thing I want to look for, and I've been reading a lot about this position battle because I don't think enough people are talking about it. UCLA has to find a replacement for Demetric Felton at running back. Okay. And for me, that's the piece of their offense where if they're going to make a Pac-12 run, that's got to be solved. And right now, the Hawaii defensive line is the weakness of that team. That defensive line is atrocious. They rank dead last, Brandon. The entire defense actually ranked dead last in tackling, Brandon, in the whole country, 130. I mean, when you can't tackle nobody, then I don't know how you expect to win a game. And they were outside the top 100 in rush defense. Brenton Brown and Zach Charbonnet are both the top running backs for UCLA. Both of them are transfers. Brown coming from Duke, Zach coming from Michigan. And for me, Brandon, I think they're listed as the top two running backs. I think they're going to see a heavy dose of both guys. Brown, 500 yards, 6.6 yards per carry, Brandon, last year for the Bruins. And Charbonnet transfers in after having 850 and 12 touchdowns at Michigan. And mostly in his first year, he played like a few games last year that ended up opting out. Chip Kelly has to find his feature back here, Brandon, because when that LSU defense comes to town, there's not going to be time to decide then. So this Hawaii front offers the perfect first test where if you can run the ball well on them, that's a great sign. But then also, you're going to have to take it to the next level. So you need to find who you can rely on in the big moments to keep the chains moving and keep the ball in your possession and keep your defense, which is your weakness at UCLA, off the field.
The one thing I will say, Zach, and I think I heard this from another YouTube channel, and I was thinking the same way you were. I'm pretty worried about this running back position because they haven't gotten it sorted out yet. From what I'm hearing, I think Brenton Brown might be the starter. Like, he might be like the main guy. But someone pointed this out. I'm not too worried about a running back in Chip Kelly's system because it always seems like he has his guy. Even if before the season starts, we're like, oh, well, what are they going to do? Chip Kelly always finds a way in pretty much every single offense that he's ever been a part of. So I'm not super worried about that. And for that reason, I have UCLA taking this game. Can I go ahead and give my prediction?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got UCLA 42. Hawaii, I actually have them keeping this one somewhat close. I have Hawaii 31.
Ooh,
yep.
I like that. I like that prediction. So for me, I feel like Hawaii will keep it close early, Brandon. I have UCLA pulling away late. I have UCLA 41-23 in LA, getting the big win over Hawaii. For Chip Kelly and UCLA, you have to start 1-0. If you lose this game, the season is going to be absolutely brutal for you with LSU coming up, USC coming up, Arizona State, and the Pac-12 is at all-time strength, in my opinion. I think there's so many teams that could beat you week in and week out. This is a must-win for UCLA, and I do think they pull it out, though.
Yeah, I think so, Zach. And for this one, the most current line I've seen is 17.5 UCLA. I don't have them hitting that. I'm not super confident in that, though. I wouldn't place that spread bet. The one bet I would place on this game would be the over-under. I think this game goes over regardless. It's 68.5. This is the opening game between a Pac-12 team and Hawaii. It has to go over.
It better go. Hey, UCLA's just lucky it's not on the island. If it was on the island, we'd be having a whole different story. I love it. But guys, we appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Make sure to check out all our other game previews right now on our channel, and make sure to subscribe. Join the Blue Bloods for the season, man. We have so much content coming y'all's way, and turn on your post notifications because I promise you're not going to want to miss any upload right here on the Blue Bloods. But we appreciate y'all, man. But for B-Dub, myself, and the Blue Bloods, man, we are out.